call it, that you can't opt out because you're going to be held accountable to those standards.
Right.
It's asinine to throw so much money after something we just don't know very much about.
Well,
That's
sir,
right.
I think if you look at the standards themselves, not the crazy curriculum that some people are using,
See,
but the
I
actual
come
standards.
just from the classroom. I
Yeah.
mean, I was in the classroom in a public school setting January 7th, and I was sworn in on January 9th. I'm currently teaching in a private school, so I'm still in the classroom.
Yeah.
And I hear from my colleagues from my old school district all the time,
Yes.
and they want me to kill Common Core.
And I would ask them to point to the specific standards and make sure that it's the standards that are driving what they don't like versus
It
some really
seems like a
bad
very
textbook decisions.
top-down decision-making process, and the teachers can't say anything about it
And parents.
because they know they are, evaluated by people who are
Right.
pushing it.
So what's plan B? Go back to your worst standards?
According to the teacher from Joplin, the Show Me standards are very rigorous, and the kids haven't even completed that yet.
Right. And unfortunately, sir, I would just say that they're, according to all the research we've done for 15 years, they're not. There's no there. And so you have low standards, a mediocre test that's been used over and over again now. The one good thing is you do set the cut score at a high level. That's good. And you're not making much progress.
But now you want so much more money for a new contract for assessments, and we're going to send that out of state. I mean, I'm sure with the many universities that we have here and some very bright people, that we can probably come up with a group of people in-house to
Amen.
make that assessment.
Actually, CTB McGraw-Hill got the contract.
In person.
And where are they located?
I believe it's a Missouri firm.
I have no idea.
You might sort of just look at the Indiana Office of Management and Budget just did a cost estimate, similar process here, saying if we pulled out of our consortia and we did it by ourselves, how much would it cost? And what they said as an independent body was they said it's at this point going to be much more expensive to sort of start over in the range of $30 million to start over versus keep going with the consortia. So we are 3 years in now. To start from scratch and to do it alone, I think there's a very good chance it would be much more expensive than to stick with Smarter Balance at this point.
And through my 20-some years of teaching, we have started over, I don't know how many times and how many new buzzwords. And I love the new buzzword being rigor this time around because it comes and goes, and that's how education works.
Representative Curtis.
I'll pass, thank you.
Representative May.
Yeah, I just want to go back to, I was listening to Representative Spencer. And so again, I want to reiterate because he said that the teachers were saying it was lowering their standards. And now I want to know how it would lower their standards if they are the ones that are writing the curriculum. So if I'm writing the curriculum based on the standards, then I don't have to lower the standards. And if I'm teaching up here, I can keep teaching up here because that means my kids are going to pass the assessment because they're already past the Common Core standards. Is that not the case?
You're asking.
Okay, so I just wanted to clear that up. So teachers that are having a problem with the Common Core standards or the curriculum or the textbooks, those textbooks are chosen by their school districts, their superintendents, and they might not be the ones that are in the decision-making process in reference to curriculum and school books. So that's why they're complaining, or upset about the Common Core, but the questions should be directly to the people who are choosing the curriculum, the school books, and all of that. Because what I'm trying to understand is the state, I'm just getting clarification, does not choose textbooks. You're saying the state does not choose curriculum? So that means that the school districts, the school board, and all those people are the ones that are writing the curriculum, choosing how we're going to teach for the assessment. Is that correct? Okay, so if I have a problem with that instruction, then it would be those people who are making that decision, because the state does not make that decision.
That's correct.
Okay, I'm just clarifying. Okay, thank you.
I think that what we're hearing is a lot of it's possible that some of the teachers who are complaining about the Common Core are unhappy with other things going on in their district, as you pointed out. So maybe that's, you know, maybe that's why they're labeling it Common Core. It may be in fact curriculum or choice of materials or other things.
Well, my question is, I want to know what is the superintendent's response? Because if teachers are moving from one area saying that they can't talk about Common Core and they don't want the people that are over them to know, who are those people that are saying that? Because if I was a teacher, I know I was outspoken when I was a teacher. So who are those teachers who are those people who are evaluating them that's saying I cannot voice my opinion in reference to how I'm educating the students that I come in contact with? So that's my question. So if we have, you know, and if the Common Core are the standards, but I'm creating my own curriculum, you know, or the superintendents are creating the curriculum for the teachers, or however that is structured, then we need to have a question about that too as well.
Representative Morris,
Yes, to inquire, please.
proceed.
Thank you. Thanks, y'all, for coming today. I just got some questions. We're going to kind of go off of Common Core a little bit, because I'm just glad you're here today. Between DESI and Board of Education, you guys are the ones that are setting the standards and setting our parameters for education. You know, just in the short year that I've been in the legislature, I've learned a lot about the 3 failing school districts in St. Louis and Kansas City that they give us 60% of all the inmates in the state of Missouri. And some of those school districts have been failing for 25 years. What I'm asking you as a leader of DESI, and we will be getting the Board of Education here at another hearing. What's this Common Core, and just what's going on? You guys are the leaders of education, and you guys are developing policy, and why? What are we going to do about these failing schools? I'm really worried about that. What's your answer? Common Core is not going to be the answer for them, is it? I mean, what are we going to do?
It's a great question, and it is the question that we're wrestling with right now. In the past, the State Board of Education has had the authority to do really 3 things with districts that were unaccredited. Either throw out the elected board and put a special administrative board in place, or divide the district up and assign pieces to other districts, or assign the whole district to another. As we've pointed out over the last several years, those options were not sufficient. We've done most of those options in different places at different times, and none have proven to be particularly effective over a long period of time. So today we're faced with 3 unaccredited districts, a couple of others that are teetering on the edge of being unaccredited, and the big question about what do we do differently. Thanks to you all, with the passage of Senate Bill 125 last year, we now have the authority, and that kicked in on August 28th. The State Board of Education now has the authority to craft something different, something other than those 3. And that's what we're in the process of doing right now. We're having focus groups. We're meeting with focus groups of parents, business people, school leaders, others in those areas, and we're talking primarily right now about St. Louis and Kansas City. We're doing personal interviews with some of people in both areas. We're studying the best practices around the country that have been effective in urban schools. And I have to say urban schools, not districts, because what we're finding is that there are sometimes schools, individual schools that operate very well, but the district as a whole may be dysfunctional. I'll use Kansas City as an example. Lincoln Preparatory actually has significantly higher performance than many schools in the state of Missouri, and yet they're part of a failing district. So we're looking at what is it that's working. What have we tried before that worked, and why? What have we tried before that didn't work, and why? So that we can craft a plan to address the needs of children in failing districts. It's got to be something different than we've been doing. because we haven't done it well. And as a state, as you pointed out, we've been struggling with it for decades. Now, not to stick up for Missouri a little bit, we're not the only ones. Nobody really around the country has really found the answer to this. Some states have tried, and you look at things like the Recovery District in Louisiana, they've had some success with a different model. The Achievement District in Tennessee offers some guidance in some ways, but we've got to look at what is at state level we can do to provide an umbrella that ensures that districts, schools, kids get the support they need to be successful.
Well, I'm glad.
We'll have that done by January.
Okay, well, I'm glad you guys are working on that, because it's a shame and a crime
It is.
that we allow that to happen. And for 25 years, that's just unrealistic. We can't do that. You know, when this legislature, and I've not been part of it, but we've given more money to those school districts than we have any of our other good school districts, and it hasn't worked. I think when you'll find out what part of your solution will be is the family. And there's good school teachers and there's good superintendents in those failing schools. I wouldn't blame the school teachers, I'd blame the families. If you can figure out for us to spend our money, taxpayers' money, and heal the family and get the family back together, you'll solve that problem. But let me ask you another thing. You know, we get more and more, it seems like in my district, and maybe it's that way over the state, I've got a lot of my customers that homeschool. They do homeschooling. They don't choose to go to public school, and they could choose to go to private school too. But let me read to you what this one person said from Ozark. One of the prominent reasons for homeschooling, and this person homeschools, is the freedom from required participation in political control of minds. That's one of the things that they're concerned about with Common Core too, the political control of minds. And I don't know whether that's true or not, but that's just what I hear, okay? Secular only teachings, no honoring of our great country, not many teaching true as it actually occurred, national and world histories. And when I say that, I read that, I didn't write that, someone else did. This parent wrote that. I find that to be true because I saw an example. I have a attorney friend, D. Wampler, in Springfield, Missouri. He's a prominent defense attorney, so you don't want to use him because you don't want to ever have that problem. But he writes books. He writes a lot of books. He's a great scholar in mind, and he actually, I'd love to have my history book from my high school days and my junior high school days, but he has his, and he showed me how history is being rewritten. And what we learned in high school is not the high school history that's being taught today. And you're in charge, and the Board of Education is in charge in the state of Missouri. And I need you all to be thinking about what you're teaching my grandchildren that are 10 and under, because I want them to know the same history that I learned. Okay? Now let me go on to what this person said that's homeschooling. So they're not teaching true as actually occurred. It also says no honoring of Christian inspirational activities. I know part of this is federal, so but forced sex ed classes that include deviant, anti-God, homosexual views, and in several situations required submission to teacher-forced writings involving illicit subjects, and there are many more significant reasons why they homeschool. Now, just you being in charge, I mean, doesn't necessarily have to do with Common Core, but this meeting is about children and about education and trying to figure out what we all learned, what I learned when I was in school, and I'm a Christian, and I'm proud to say that, and I'm appalled at the things that we can't do anymore in school that I got to do, and I'm just asking you, going forward, that we look at all kinds of things to do to make our educational system better, okay? I mean, we just got to. The last thing is and I'm going to shut up, but another person from Ozark. I mean, I've got stuff. I've got stuff if you want to see it. But I had one person ask me I can find it real quick here.